was watching some videos on colored pencils, or listening to them, while I was doing this. And I was thinking, actually, because I'm organizing like a little sale of new works that I'll be doing for Christmas that you will find at the Ramon Valley shop. I wanted to make like a little guide maybe on things to keep in mind when you're buying a traditional piece of art, because there are some things that a digital artwork may not be affected by, but that a traditional artwork will definitely be affected by. That means that when you buy a traditional artwork, you have to take great care of it because it's completely unique. I cannot reproduce this ever. And it is also fragile, limited to the material nature of the things that I'm using to create something. So ideally what you will do is, before you frame it, you keep the artwork in absolute darkness and covered in silk paper. I think that's what it's called. The paper is not literally made out of silk. It's not like some luxury item, but it's just a specific type of paper. I think in texture it's a bit like those things that, you know, they wrap clothes in. Usually they wrap clothes in something when you buy new clothes. Well, that's the same material that you'd use for wrapping in the artwork. And what other things you should do is that when you want to frame it, ideally you will keep the artwork in museum conditions. What does this mean? No direct sunlight ever. And if there has to be sunlight ever, it should never be morning or noon sunlight. Like, avoid those. Ideally, absolutely no sunlight. So keep it in a room where you know that the sun will not be hitting it directly, because you see these ones, they are apparently the most light fast colored pencils in like the world. I have only one of them because they're crazy expensive, but they're also crazy good. These colored pencils are literally wow. I'm amazed. Another one which I really like is this Derwent Ink Tense. Again, I only have one of these, but you see how intense this color is. I mean, seriously, it's like ink. It's also water dissolvable, but I digress. So, in short, what you will want to do to preserve your artwork is keep in absolute darkness in a place that is completely dry, and wrap it in silk paper, some kind of protection paper, not print paper. So you will want to make sure that it's safe. Alternatively, you can put it inside of a plastic wrapper, like, no, not plastic wrapper, but you know, like those things you put papers inside of, like a chemise en plastique. I mean, it's like those things which you put a paper inside of, and then it has like holes on the side. You can put it somewhere. Well, basically you want to keep it like that. You really want to take care of it as best that you can. And then when you decide to frame it, you have to make sure that there is no sunlight hitting it. Now, there are different materials that will be affected by light fastness differently. This depends on paper quality and colored pencil quality, and I always assure that both of these qualities are at their prime. So I'm actually using these wax polycolor pencils, which should be quite good. I have used them for many years now, and they are pretty good. I think that the work which I have made with them is preserved pretty well. These are polychromos. They are extremely smooth and blending. They can be very precise, they're very hard, and they're also a very high quality color, and they're also light fast. Otherwise, I'm experimenting with these ones, and for them I can tell you that they're specifically designed. One of their main perks is the fact that they are light fast, they are very soft too, and they are wax based. Polychromos are one of the only, like Faber-Castell are one of the only colored pencils I know that they make like oil based, and I really like oil based. But what you need to know with oil based is that even after many layers of fixative, they still do preserve that smudgy effect, which wax doesn't have. At least my polycolors do not have smudging that much. I made a swatch of how polycolor smudges and polychromo smudges. Smudging means basically if I touch it, it will get destroyed. And that usually happens with something that is oily, for example, oil pastels, or even soft pastels, which are not oil-based, but you can basically breathe on them and you will alter the artwork. So soft pastels, not a big fan of, because I am someone who works in sketchbooks primarily, and in small transportable format because I'm a student and I don't have the privilege of having a 24-hour schedule where I'm available to do art. So I have to make sure that my material is stable, transportable, and yeah, good quality. So for me, personally, some of my favorites are the polychromos for those qualities. And I like the polycolors because, well, of how hard they are. Now, these ones are wax-based but soft. So I'm not sure how stable these are, but in any of the three cases, you want to assure absolute security of the artwork away from any exposure to elements, light, wind, or any touching or fingers or cats or children. So you have to keep them away from everything, basically. Now, this may deter you from buying an artwork, but I honestly prefer that people that do buy artwork are completely aware of how it should be treated, rather than buying something and potentially destroying the thing that you really liked. So, and also, my artwork is not priced lightly. I mean, because of the time and effort that it takes to make, and also because I have a certain sense of value for what I do. And on the more material aspect, if I want to assure top quality and how long a thing lasts, so longevity and durability of my artwork, I have to make sure that my materials are good quality, and that makes them a bit expensive. Now, paper can be actually bought in lower quality. Not lower quality, I meant lower price, without necessarily altering the quality, because I have tried out different brands, and I know that some brands are priced higher, even though their quality doesn't particularly change. What you should usually, and this goes for artists, what you should usually look out for in paper is if it has acid bleaching in it. Acid bleaching is bad for the environment, but is also a sign that the paper quality is not super high, and that's why you will see that high quality paper is usually not super white. It can be white, but it's usually, for example, the Fabriano always has like a slight yellowish tinge. Canson can be a bit more white than that, but neither of them use any type of bleaching or such. Though that also depends on what material you're using, because you can perfectly use I'm not gonna say print paper, because print paper can give you a lot of problems, slightly because it's so thin. So if you want to do some serious work with a lot of layers, you will very easily rip apart and smush the paper, surely by the amount of things on the paper which the paper can support. So using a hard, heavy paper is really good for that, depending if you like smooth or rough texture. Personally, I like both, but I actually really like rough texture because it gives this like nice effect of texture, I guess. I just like it. But these are some things to keep in mind for artists and for buyers of art. I hope that this is not like too unclear, but I just wanted to make some things clear so that I guess you can have a bit of a more informed choice. Also, different materials can have different light fastness. So for example, like watercolor is the most fragile thing. In watercolor, I would, if you really like a watercolor piece, don't even frame it and put it in the sun. Like, straight up. You can admire it in the dark. Just kidding. But this is just to say how fragile watercolor is and how much you should really, really protect it. you should frame these as quickly as possible, because again, glass really protects like the drawing from getting any dust damaging or such. So if you've made a serious artwork which you really like and you spend super much time on, please do protect it however you can with any type of surface that will protect it from any kind of element exposure, dust, rain, wind, aging, sunlight, and such. I'm not sure if there exists like UV protection framing glass, but if someone invents it, I am going to be really happy, because that's like what artists really need. I think that's it. But yeah, if you buy a colored pencil piece or an ink piece, you should be pretty okay. Those are the most stable ones, and you know, I'm not gonna say usually the cheapest, but say you you usually don't see the same price on an ink artwork as you will see on like an oil painting. Also partly because usually oil paintings are much more complex and, you know, all that jazz. But so yeah, you just kind of keep in mind what you do, because one thing is like buying a print, another thing is buying like a unique artwork. So I hope that makes sense. I hope that this is like a good thing if you want to like buy a gift for someone of an original artwork, or for yourself or whatever. Alrighty, bye.